CNBC's confirmed that Uber has considered a bid for travel booking company Expedia. The talks seem to be at a pretty early stage at this point. Unclear whether an acquisition would take place at all. We should caution folks about this, but a deal could potentially open up a vast new market for Uber. And Uber CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi, ran Expedia for years, so there's a personal connection there. Joining us right now is an early Uber investor and Uber's first political strategist, Bradley Tusk, CEO of Tusk Ventures. And I'm so curious, when you first read this headline, did you say to yourself, this is a fabulous idea, or did you say this is a terrible idea?
No, more bullish than not. I thought it was a pretty good idea. Look, Uber needs to keep expanding. You know, the very original vision for the company, I remember when Travis Kalanick, who was the founder and CEO, met with him the first time, what he said to me is, one day, we're going to have an app where no one drives their own car, no one owns a car, and you get a ride by pushing a button, and every single piece of transportation, whether you're delivering a human being or a burrito or freight, comes through our app in some way. That's not exactly what the Uber app is today, but I think in that, if the Expedia deal were to happen, it starts to bring it closer to that reality.
And well, so that's really the question, because it's a market, and Expedia is also a market of sorts, right? So it's similar in that regard.
Yeah.
To me, the question is, Uber has always been, and the question is a focus question. Yeah. In the ability of in the space of some kind of mobility, moving around people, moving around stuff. Yep. Right. It's been either about moving food now. We were talking, by the way, about Walgreens this morning and CVS and how much how challenged those businesses are. Yep. I've always thought that one day your drugs and medicine and other things would come to you by a messenger service of some sort.
Right. And there are apps already do that.
And there are apps that do that, but I always thought that would actually be more of a business for an Uber than necessarily being the marketplace for hotels.
Yes, but the healthcare stuff obviously gets into a lot more regulation, HIPAA. There's a bunch of other things you have to deal with.
Except that renting homes, if you're in this sort of VRBO space,
that has a
travel is a super regulated business.
Yep, they both do. But look, I think ultimately ride sharing itself, which is still the core business, has sort of a cap on its profitability because you're taking a cut of someone else's work. Now, maybe when it goes fully autonomous, that'll change, but that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon, despite Elon's rollout a few weeks ago. So I think they have to keep looking for other markets. But to me, there's sort of two other questions we're thinking through. The first one would be, so we know the network effect works really well when it comes to ride sharing itself, meaning the more drivers there are on the platform, the less wait time there is for passengers. That attracts more passengers. That creates more opportunity. That attracts more drivers. And it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
What I've been trying to think about since I saw this news is, would there be a network effect in the broader concept of Uber now acquiring Expedia, in the sense that if you have this broader market of people, would more travel deals and opportunities then present themselves because people want to take advantage of it?
Well, that's my question. Is it an average? Basically,
I'm not sure.
And that's the question. To me, could they do a joint venture or some kind of advertising program where effectively Expedia is advertising on top of the Uber platform?
Yeah, sure.
And is that enough? Or are there actual genuine synergies? There was a period of time, I don't know if it was Uber doing it or Lyft was doing it, where there was some airlines that were trying to incorporate
I think it was Uber.
Uber into the process.
Right.
I don't know how successful that was. I'm imagining it was not a massive success, because if it was,
we don't see it on the app.
We would have heard about it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, my guess is that every travel opportunity and deal is probably already presented to every consumer on every app already. The other question is, how would the FTC take a look at this if it were to go through? And what's really interesting here is, because we're 3 weeks out from an election that's 50-50, you can imagine multiple scenarios here, right? So if Trump were to win, on one hand, ideologically, a Trump FTC shouldn't have as much of an issue with this. Right. But Trump being Trump, Uber's general counsel, Tony West, is Kamala Harris's brother-in-law.
Right. And Barry Diller is Mr. Expedia. Right. So let's be honest here.
So you could easily say, Trump, there's no way I'm allowing that.
Let me ask you another question. Yeah. Is there an argument to be made, and just look at Expedia's stock over the years, and just the as a financial matter, whether you think, if you believe that Dara is a spectacular operator, that he understands this business, is this just an opportunity, meaning a financial opportunity to buy a business? It's not cheap. You can see where it used to be. You've probably extended out maybe even a decade, guys. It's not cheap, but it also hasn't moved materially.
It's comparatively cheap.
And so, therefore, is there an argument to be made that look, it's an opportunity to fix something. Here's a guy who might know how to fix it.
Oh, if I'm Expedia, I probably want to do this. I think the question is if you're Uber.
No, I'm saying if you're Uber, look, I'll use this company as a great example, okay? Comcast bought NBC, and it was one of the great deals at the time, of all time, because the price of the company was so low.
Yeah.
Some people have argued, do they need to own NBC, not own NBC? We can have that debate.
Right.
But the point I'm making is, just as a financial and operational matter, the idea was, here was a challenged business at a price that was low. They could bring somebody in who could fix it, and they did.
Yeah.
Is that maybe one other way to think about it?
Yeah, but
Uber's not a private equity firm either, but that's...
But then you still have to ask the question you asked before, which is, clearly it does expand the market. Are there any actual synergies in terms of cost savings or efficiency? I'm not sure, right? So from an Expedia standpoint, I think the answer is, yeah, I'd love to do this. From an Uber standpoint, you have to, I think, genuinely believe that 1 + 1 = 3 here, right? And that Expedia's business, when on your platform, will reach meaningfully more people than it could otherwise.
Well, let me flip it around. Do you think that an Airbnb one day will actually hook up with a Lyft? Or do you see what I'm saying? Like, over time, as people talk about experiences and all of this.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together with the Tony West thing, and then thinking about how Barry Diller and Trump have kind of gone back and forth.
And by the way, flip it around. Let's say Harris wins.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, well, then it's a lock. But the flip side, you could see her White House saying to the FTC, yeah, be super careful because we don't want to be accused of, bias and whatever else. And as a result, it actually gets more scrutiny.
See, that's what I wonder about so many companies. Like, no matter who wins in this election, everybody thinks, okay, it's not going to be Lena Khan, so it's going to be better. But I'm not necessarily sure.
By the way, I don't know if you saw the story yesterday that was suggesting
J.D. Vance
that they want to keep Lena Khan in the role now.
I don't know if Trump would want to keep her.
No, Trump wouldn't. But I'm saying that Harris might.
So look, Harris clearly to me, so I believe, and this is unfounded, but that in 2020, Biden cut a very quiet deal with the left and said, listen, I need you to
with Elizabeth Warren. Let's be straight about what we're talking about.
I need you to not be a pain in the ass during the election.
Which is why we wound up with CNBC.
Correct. And I'm going to keep the stuff that really matters, Treasury, State, Defense, DOJ, and I'm going to give you everything else, CFPB, FTC.
I think FTC really matters if you're a business.
I think so, too. But I think Biden doesn't care about it, right? And so as a result, he gave Warren a bunch of agencies that business cares about, but Biden's a politician.
So what's Harris going to do?
And so Harris, I think, in some ways has the same deal with the left, right? She needs them just as much. The only distinction here is that you like to think that because she is younger and from Northern California and has kind of a Silicon Valley, at least exposure, she will be more mindful of tech issues.
Well, she certainly hasn't said that.
But that's a lot of conjecture on our part of what we want to be true, and I don't know that it is true.